Prairie Sports one time. They're like, Howard's a Jet fan. He lived in Long Island. So he's been in Buffalo longer than you have. This whole
if you want Sal fired up, you gotta listen to when he hosts Sports Talk Saturday because like those calls back to back, he goes hard.
He does.
He's like, I just had Nate Oates on. I talked to Mark Allen for 20 minutes, and then you're gonna call in and say we're not talking to you, me. You were listening for the last hour.
I was listening that day.
Fucking embarrassing.
Yeah. Dude, it's so funny.
I love when he gets fired up.
I love it.
Can't wait for Thursday. Thursday's gonna give me some great life. We're gonna have him call some Game of Thrones scenes or something from the sidelines.
Sales?
Yeah. Sideline sound. We gotta come up with some ideas, but I was like, one, you got
the jump. His last play is a
has to be a Game of Thrones scene.
It was so good.
He's there on the sidelines with a walking chain.
They're chest bumping. Yeah, like
so
jumping in the air, chest bumping. That's insane.
Walking, they're all, someone just spit right in her face.
Oh, dude, his sideline Sal thing was unbelievable.
It's gonna be
EJ or Jameis Winston and
videos now.
Fitzpatrick.
No, the best one was Marshawn Lynch.
Oh, at the bar or
at the half.
Oh, yeah.
Coming out with the Bills jersey, retiring for the Raiders and coming back in a Bills jersey.
EJ retired today. I think you guys saw
yeah, we gotta talk about that.
We can't wait. Chatting. That's the start. Yeah.
It's a sad day in Buffalo. EJ retired.
I don't know why I got this beautiful new jersey just to stand back here.
What jersey?
Pumas.
Ooh.
With the Corona on the bottom.
With the Herbalife, I'll never get over that one Netflix special. You ever see that one?
Boys, you ready?
Yeah. Definitely a Ponzi scheme. They just like changed it like when they got all that attention.
Oh yeah.
Signatures though. You gotta get it. Come out from your lane in those Sadie sticks. Okay? Feel the power. Folks, welcome to a brand new episode of Trainwreck. Tonight we are live here at Studio D with special guest Matt Parrino, the General Maniac, Ty B, and the best producer in Erie County, DJ Supreme.
Not just Erie County, the east side of the Mississippi.
I change it up every show. It's something different every show. But Matt Parrino, how are you tonight? Thanks for joining us.
I'm great, but let me correct you. That is the only DJ in town, right there. Okay, that is DJ Supreme. I got corrected when I walked in here.
The only DJ Supreme in town.
Okay, nice.
We're not talking about the one at 93.7.
Oh no, absolutely not.
Maniac, show sponsor,
Hip Hop Karaoke Buffalo. It's back this Sunday at venue. Tickets available on Ticketfly and their Instagram page, HHK Buffalo. It's the ultimate night out. Come perform in front of an amazing crowd of people, whether it's Knuck If You Buck or Wipe Me Down remix by Lil Boosie. It's time to go, and the spot to be is venue for Hip Hop Karaoke Buffalo, Ticketfly, and HHK Buffalo on Instagram for tickets.
And you'll get that special interview with Maniac after your performance. Tons of great clips last time. All gang stuff, everything gang stuff, blah, blah, blah. There's tons of great moments that will come out of the HHK.
Gonna be tons of content.
and a bunch of horrible moments that came out of Las Vegas this past weekend. Now, Matt, I know you lived there for a few years. I made my 4th trip this past weekend.
Rumored.
And I am now
supposedly
1-3. I'm 1-3 record going to Las Vegas. It seems like I never learn. I always do something stupid night 1 or night 2, and my big fall this year was Rockets. They absolutely killed me. I had every parlay tied in with them. It would have been a huge win. It probably would have net gained close to 2,500, and it just destroyed me because I hit the money line. I get aggressive, so I hit some unders in baseball that are tied into this parlay. So it's getting closer to tip off. I'm like, let's just hammer it even more. I want the
you're all in at that point.
Now at this point, I'm like, give me the Rockets money line. There's no way they lose at home, and I got crushed.
The house always wins.
Always.
That's the first lesson you have to learn. I really got into football betting when I was out there before I started covering the National Football League, and I won a parlay, a 16 parlay out there.
Wait, a 6-team parlay, right?
A 16
Because if you won a 16-team parlay, you wouldn't even be talking talking
Okay.
like you'd have a super McMansion.
So I did a super card once and I won
Okay.
a 12-teamer. But that was still, you get the better odds. But
Yeah.
16 parlay, I think I put $40 down on it. It was just like, in the weekly action.
Yeah.
And I walked away with, $800, $1,000, some crazy thing like that. And I went big on a Monday night game, put it all on that.
Lost it all.
Lost it all.
Of course.
My wife was thrilled.
Oh, yeah.
It was a great
You
weekend.
hit the book and they hit you right back.
It's not like you really want it.
Just it was
He
just
was
so
just borrowing money from the book.
it was so depressing because I really thought like it's gotta go 7. I'm like, how do they
No.
go into Houston?
No.
No Durant. And I get it that Steph was 26-1, like those records.
I didn't even tell you what to do, but I just wanted everybody to know. We discussed it, that there was that angle, and they talked about it all the time after the game. Before the game, you knew going in, without Curry, they were like 500, and without Durant, when Curry was in the lineup, they were like 28-2 or something. So you kind of got that.
Let's not forget about this. This, by the way, this is weird. Like, I want to see you, but I don't know if I should turn around and look at you.
It's like Wilson in
We
Home
don't have
Improvement.
to.
He's very wise, a lot of the great quips.
Keep
and
that-
Also like
Yeah.
Wilson the dog, like
And
or
Wilson and
Wilfred,
Castaway, our best friend.
Or Wilfred the dog, like he's not always there, but he's like kind of there. So when you look at him, it's like, who knows?
Okay, I'm with it.
But go back. This team was 73 wins without Kevin Durant.
Oh,
This
yeah.
was a dynasty in the making. This was a group of players that were so insecure in themselves that they went out and courted the second best player on the planet. But what I think happened is, I think over time, both sides of this whole thing, KD and the group of 3, have kind of realized their mistakes and now, might be okay with going their separate ways.
It's kind of like Avengers Endgame this season for that group. They haven't always gotten along. It hasn't been perfect. You've seen Draymond and KD go back, we don't need you, in like the huddle. Like that was probably the greatest moment ever. Draymond Green, like a super team of NBA players for like the playoffs. Draymond Green and J.R. Smith never ended up on the same team. That would have just been amazing.
Oh my God.
With that said, I mean the KD thing. Yeah, and on your Vegas trip, it knocked you in the dirt a little bit, and then you never got up. You're kind of saying, right?
Well,
you hit that Cubs under. You hit that Cubs under early Friday by 1 run, right, or half run?
Half a run. It's
Yeah.
just, you're right. It's on my trips that I've gone. It's that first day and night.
Yeah.
If you can get to Saturday, and you're off with some wins, and you're plus money, you're set for the weekend. But I crushed myself. I'll admit it. I kind of almost pretty much went all in. I thought Rockets at home, we're not going to lose. I'm not saying cover the, or I wasn't laying.
Oh yeah,
7.
money line.
I thought money line.
Yep.
I was tying everything into that, thinking like they were going to win because home teams in the playoffs lately, they've been dominating at home, and I thought the same. I didn't know if they'd win by 20 to 25, but I thought the Rockets at home, a lot more depth than what the Warriors have, would get me that dub. And as you can see, clearly Denver Nuggets a good home team, couldn't get the job done. And Toronto, another 6.5 point favorite. Thank God I didn't bury 6.5 because I'm thinking a home team's got to crush, right? And luckily was on that money line too because I almost lost that one too. There was 2 game 7s, 1 game 6 that the away teams won the money.
Whether it's real sports with Brian Gumbel, whether it's relationships in life, and especially sports betting, playing from behind is very difficult.
Yes,
it only
it
makes
is.
you make more irrational decisions. It only makes you think less clearly. Like, it's terrible.
Yeah, and that's why you need Degenerate Danger Zone. We're going daily
Oh, yeah.
out
Yep.
throughout the week, and we'll have some probably special episodes for when we got big
Oh, for
events
sure.
coming up for the weekend. And I think we do have a big golf event this weekend. I believe the PGA has been
I
moved up
didn't-
this
I-
year, so we have the PGA this week.
That's almost, I did not place any futures on that. Tiger's like 9-1.
Yeah, he's
People,
down to 10-1.
people are just running to the window
I
betting
haven't
Tiger.
got
It's
numbers
great.
yet, but you know,
The
Bird's
public, the books made their killing on that too. Like there were so many years where Tiger was only 10-1, 8-1, 12-1.
What
What
about-
about the Masters? And
what
he
about
didn't even,
Tony Romo last week being, what was he, like 10,000 to 1, got the most action out of anyone and didn't even make the cut. +7. So Vegas has got their money on golf. I think they were trying to get that free money, pull it right back from the
Yep.
people, and just in case Tiger ends up winning, because people are going to be lacing Tiger either
Of
way.
course, it's just like the Yankees. You're gonna dabble on Tiger Woods.
Yeah,
the
and
best
we'll
in the
be
sport.
all over the best gambling stuff on Degenerate Danger Zone all week.
What is it about Tiger Woods that makes the average American care about golf? for 4 days when you don't care about it when he's not involved. Like
Golf's a joke when he's not in it.
I gotta say, it's really just his personality too. Like when he was winning, like in his peak, like the fist pumps, like he shows his expression. Like even when you would get like another guy with a good golf shot, he'd just be like, like thank you, like this is me, yeah, like up under. It's like it was literally like a Billy Madison effect.
Are you a Tiger fan?
I'm sorry,
Do you
Happy Gilmore.
I only
Happy
watch
Gilmore.
golf if Tiger Woods is playing.
Okay, so
And relevant. I'm kind of a fair weather kind of
no,
guy.
I'm with you on that though. I'm not tuning into the Masters if it's Brooks, Koepka, Molinari on Sunday. Like I'm not like my entire weekend was changed. I spent a half day at work on Friday.
Yep.
Went to Giancarlo's.
Unbelievable. We were at Giancarlo's at 1 p.m. just pounding stiffies.
You know what I mean? Like, I would
You
not
just blew away.
Oh yeah, do you remember that?
front
Oh
of the
my
stand-up.
gosh,
I saw that.
it was like 40-mile-per-hour winds outside Giancarlo's. But let me tell you, the event was lit.
Do you think I'd ever be there if it was Molinari? No.
Hell no.
Not going. No, what he's done to that sport is incredible. And I think he's got, especially after what he's done in the Masters, he can play for at least another 5, 6, 7, 8 years and be relevant and like win a tournament.
I mean, he could definitely have a resurgence. Shout out to the brewery. But I mean, I don't know. It might be a little bit carried away to think he could have like is he gonna get Nicklaus?
He could.
Before this year, doubters were at an all-time high, saying no, and probably the stock was at the odds were at an all-time low on those. But now they're back in play for sure.
He's got to get LeBron on the line, figure out what he's doing with his body, get kind of
Get in those
get a couple.
cryo
I think if
some
LeBron
sleep
spends $2 million a year on his body, I think Tiger's got to spend 10.
Oh, definitely.
And just so you know, make sure that he's bionic at that point. And
I'm pretty sure someone in Vegas also bet Tiger Woods not to win the next 4 majors at like minus 100,000. So they have like $500K to win like $10. Okay. Like if he doesn't win the next 4, and now it's like they're 0 for 1. Like so like odds alone are just terrible.
All right, you ready for odds and futures?
Okay. Here we go. Kept it in the pocket, folks.
You can read the first one.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Right to the bank. Bills plus 1,200. 200 to win 2,600.
On the AFC East.
AFC East.
They gotta win the AFC East for that ticket to cash. The way I look at it, the Bills are 12 to 1. The Jets are 6 to 1. I was just like, in my opinion, the Bills are the second best team.
If you took the Bills roster and staff and everything and put them in New York or New Jersey, and you took the New York and put them in Bills, they would have the same like things. Josh Allen will be the second coming.
Yeah.
Like Tremaine Edmonds will be the Ray Lewis 2.0.
Perspective is always a huge thing. We know that about gambling. And that's a big part of it. And that's why that other line.
That's a great line. 12 to 1. If Brady goes down with a little knee injury, you're at worst 5.
This ticket comes down to week 4. That's it. It comes down to week 4. That's what it's all. I'm telling you right now.
We're gonna get a video promo just to take it like hey ha ho ho like the epic music
like obviously there's a whole season, but week 4 is like if I lose week 4.
All I know is Bills, and we're about to dive right into the Bills here. I think with MP in the building. We love getting fired up about like 1 week in the season. Like, don't you think kind of like... I remember a couple years ago with Rex Ryan, that 1 year where it was the Ravens week 1, you're like, if they beat them week 1, then they're going to the playoffs. And then it was the year where they played the Patriots week 2. It was the Patriots week 2.
Destroyed. Yeah.
So the fact that you're citing week 4 is worrying me. I'm probably sure you'll be pounding Patriots -8 that week, I bet.
You couldn't get 6.5?
I could have, but I went
6.5.
You went to
7.
6.5
is very juice.
You paid the juice. It's like -170?
No, I went to 7.
Yeah, 150, 170.
I paid...
Oh, no, I'm saying you avoided the juice because it's at -170,
yes.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I got, at my book,
You'll take the push.
which the day before was 6.5, 180. My book changed to to 7 plus 120.
Oh, yeah, 7 plus 120 is huge.
There you go.
So I'm thinking to myself, if I God forbid push, I'm going back to Vegas for $1,000.
Mm-hmm. Picking it right back.
You know what I mean? If I win, then that ticket collects $1,200. That's $2,200.
I'm so used to online gambling and seeing that just go right back in. I forgot you have to fly back to Vegas for a push.
That's why I like it though.
It's a good excuse. It's a good excuse to get back.
A 4-figure bet.
Yeah.
Get me back there.
Yeah. No.
So over 7. I mean come on.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
It's a spot where
I can't see it under 7.
And then if they raise the AFC's crown, that's a nice weekend. Right
well,
there.
basically, you're counting on them to get 8 wins.
Yeah,
if they're going to be in the 9 to 10 category, then at the very least they'll be in the wild card picture, and then
or the division.
No Gronk.
Jeez.
No Gronk.
You're not wrong.
Who is on that Patriots offensive team right now?
Nikhil Harry.
Julian Edelman.
Rookie, Arizona State. Your second.
No, I know.
Okay.
Arizona State.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there you go.
trust me, I know.
So-
Matt is laying the wood, by the way. He comes in with the UB stuff. He's telling Al that his second favorite school is Arizona State. This is amazing.
Well, someone
His
knows
first-
me.
his
Someone
first-
knows
his
me.
first favorite school is Syracuse, of course.
Oh boy.
No.
That made me uncomfortable. Yeah, proud UB grad. I was in the arena as a fan for the first time in my entire time since I went there to watch them win the MAC title, which was very
It was
very fun.
unbelievable Cleveland this year.
But what about what's up with Planet Hollywood? Why was that the destination?
Well, that's where I stayed.
General Al.
That's
Oh,
where-
okay.
So that was my 4th time in Vegas. I did Flamingo my first time.
Okay.
Second time was the Trop.
Okay.
3rd time was Caesars.
Okay.
And then I just went with Planet Hollywood. They had some good renovations there. No complaints. Good. I want to change it up. Like, if I obviously do a place, I don't want to go back.
A new
But like,
experience.
great location.
Yeah.
Like, if you're in that like Cosmo Aria,
I was gonna say you like being up in the middle of it all.
if you're in that middle part of the strip,
Yeah.
it's the best.
That's good. I like
Yeah,
that.
you don't go to the Mirage. Don't go to Mandalay Bay. Like, you guys in the middle. Is
Yeah, definitely don't go to Mandalay Bay. Yeah, we talked about that already.
Yeah.
Last time I was in Vegas, we were getting the 50-cent like small beer drafts at one of like the Irish places right on the strip, and I totally just puked. So I was like, oh, like I don't know where a bathroom is because like we weren't staying at the casino. So like I kind of just walked out the front right on the strip and like turned the corner, which I thought was behind the building, but it was actually a driveway, and they were loading up a prison bus, and they were all like loading onto the bus at that moment, and I was like 10 feet away, just like puking like beer like right in front of me.
Ugh.
Terrible. Hate to see it.
Probably nothing they haven't seen before.
Oh yeah, that was just a warm up as far as they were concerned.
Yeah, it happens. But we're talking Bills.
Yep,
He's
let's
talking
get in it.
Bulls. We got to talk about the combination of the Bills and the Bulls.
Let's do it.
Tyree Jackson looks to be QB3 right now. Derek Anderson retiring. Do you think he moves even further up that depth chart? Do you think he can overtake Matt Barkley this year?
No. I think it's a great story. I think that there is a lot of potential with Tyree Jackson. And listen, I saw him play this season. I liked what I saw. Then I went to his pro day, and I realized there's a lot of work still to be done. That doesn't mean that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, look at this guy. He's playing at the mid-major level. The things that he accomplished were amazing.
Mhm.
But, you know, his skill set isn't there yet. Josh Allen, who he's oftentimes compared to, I hear that a lot. Like, well, Josh Allen went in the first round, Tyree didn't get drafted. I watch both of them up close and personal. The way that Josh Allen throws the football, the way he delivers the football in the pocket is much more crisp and different than the way Tyree Jackson does. Now, what Tyree Jackson does very well is the way that he throws the ball on the run. I've not seen many quarterbacks.
That's his like ace in the hole. His
Yeah.
ability to throw on the run is
60
crazy,
yards down the field
crazy.
in the air. Like,
It's
that's
unbelievable. But I think Matt Barkley, everybody's up in arms. Derek Anderson retired. I thought that, you know, they brought in Derek Anderson to be that voice in the room for Josh. He did that. But Matt Barkley also did that last year. And this is a guy that's been up and down in this league. Not really up. He's been down in this league. And he's been in a lot of situations. He's been in a lot of different locker rooms. They have a bond. They stay together out in California as he's working out there with Jordan Palmer, Josh Allen. They're very close. Matt Barkley, in his one showcase last year, knocked it out of the freaking park. And I think that this organization believes in him as that backup. I think Tyree, the things that's going to be funny is if he kills it, if he rips it up, if that fourth preseason game, if he goes in there slinging it against third stringers and looks great, how do you cut him? Because he is the eventual, I think, perfect backup.
The perfect backup because of the skill sets match up so
I would be so happy.
Yeah.
If they cut
If
him.
that was, no.
Oh, that's what you're hoping for.
Yes.
I mean,
gotta be
you'd have to-
hoping
Yeah,
he
yeah,
helps himself
eventually
directly
you
on
Yes.
it.
become that. Yes,
Okay,
of course.
So what was the term they used to describe the offense that Allen was running when he came back? Because it was a little bit different. It was a little bit more down to like the air raid offense or whatever. But
Right.
Tyree would be, it seems to me, would fit very well in that kind of style. It's like where running it isn't frowned upon. Just take off and run with it. That seems like the top thing to do.
Yeah, but I think that a lot of people like to use that example. Like there wouldn't be a drop off there. But if Matt Barkley comes in, they had to change the game plan a little bit.
Oh,
I
definitely.
mean, he hit that nice pass down the side to Robert Foster, but for the most part, he's not slinging it down the field like Josh Allen is. But I think that Tyree gives you the mobility that Matt Barkley doesn't. That I think is something to keep. Because listen, you also got to think of the way that Josh Allen plays. He missed 4 games last year.
We
He
were
runs
just
a lot.
talking about that. My point last week was I said if I had to see a QB go in, I would rather see Tyree Jackson than Derek Anderson. I think it just gives you a better chance with just the fact of his dynamic play. And I said he could Terrell Pryor you a game. He could run for like 60 to 80 yards and maybe 100 to 150 is enough to get it done.
Yeah, so J-Dubs, producer, made an incredible video of Josh Allen montage of his highlights, and I showed it to a couple people in Vegas. What do you think the first thing they said to me about that video was?
I didn't know he could run like that.
Well, kind of, but they're like...
I thought he sucked.
Well, they said you're showing me a quarterback and all it is running plays.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
They're like, and I'm like, you're right. I mean, most of that video was. And that's what people outside of Buffalo, that's what they think of Josh Allen. It's like you have a quarterback that can't throw the football. And that's why, the Jets 6-1, Bills are 12-1. Like
That probably explains it a lot.
Yeah.
His passing numbers are not great. It's obviously the biggest area he's got to improve, as well as just being cognizant of when the best opportunity to run was. I'm sure they don't want him running as much as he was last year, despite the numbers.
No way.
Matt, what do you think?
No, I definitely don't think they want him running as much, but I definitely don't think they want to limit his playmaking ability.
Yeah.
I think what I'm most interested in seeing the difference from last year to this year is what does the experience of a Cole Beasley do for him in the room? Because he's somebody that has showcased an ability to grab onto any type of good, positive veteran leadership and experience. And I think Cole Beasley might get into this offense for 4 months leading up to training camp, through camp, and preseason and say, listen, you're doing this, this, and this. What if you did this, this, and this? Combined with the fact that now all of a sudden he has all these different playmakers, and LaShawn McCoy, if he's still on the roster, we can talk about that, that is more motivated than ever before to perform. LaShawn McCoy was invisible last year in the passing game. I mean, obviously in the running game he struggled as well. But where was he in the passing game? This is a guy that could have caught... T.J. Yeldon caught 56 balls last year for Jacksonville.
And they go out and they add T.J. Yeldon. They draft Devin Singletary in the 3rd round. So you have to expect they're planning on keeping him around. You cut Keith Ford today as a part of all those moves. Do you think that solidifies that spot for Shady, or is he still sort of shaky on this roster?
I think it all depends on how he comes in and approaches this season. If he's a distraction in any way, I think that it becomes much easier for them to move on because of the depth behind him and the fact that Devin Singletary, aside from maybe the breakaway speed that I don't think he has with McCoy, looks like his, like it's looking in the mirror. So I think that, you come in here, you have Frank Gore to lead the room. I think it's been interesting that Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott keep going on and on about Frank Gore and what he's meant to guys already in, a month and a half? And LaShawn McCoy won the C last year, and they're talking about a guy they brought in to be a leader in that room. That kind of throws up a red flag as well. And listen, I can't imagine. I don't want to speak for Brandon Beane or Sean McDermott, but we've all seen his activity on social media over the course of this offseason. You see him go online and say he wants some of these offensive linemen in the national championship game, and when Cody Ford's drafted, he's the only rookie that he comments on.
And rest in peace, my man Tony Stark. You're not making any fans of that one either.
Please, Oh no, it was tough.
No, it's a great point.
Absolutely. The writing is on the wall. If the Shady got released or traded at this point, it wouldn't be like a surprise. A lot of people are saying, and he's been a great player. If you think you can have a great line, maybe you shouldn't get rid of him. But I mean,
that's what I'm going to say.
The line is it's refurbished basically.
That's what I'm saying. He was playing last year with no other weapons. The defense had to literally focus on him, put 8 in the box every time. He couldn't run. You know what I mean? I feel like with our team last year, there's nothing he could really do realistically. He's not going to go off and have big yard games.
Is it going to be like a refurbished Samsung Galaxy S7, or is it going to be a refurbished iPhone 6 Plus? I mean, let's just hope. Apple all day.
I mean, I think they've done enough to bring in guys who are actually going to challenge for spots, who have NFL experience, who have blocked, legitimately in this league against some of the top competition. It's not, we're just bringing in a bunch of young guys. Hopefully they can perform. It's not just a bunch of backups. These guys have starting experience. Ty Nsekhe was a starter for the past 2 years for the Redskins. They've had guys who have played all over. Spencer Long has started for a long time. They have the guys who can fit in. They have a lot of guys that can move around. So if Ford, doesn't necessarily take over at guard right away, he can play tackle or guard. You got these guys who can fit in at different spots, and I think that's going to be key here. And if you can get that going, along with the additions they've made, especially at tight end, and that's something we got to talk about because you go and sign Tyler Kroft, you sign another free agent at tight end, then you draft 2 tight ends, and then now you have this addition of Lee Smith on a 3-year deal. It's sort of confusing as to what McBean is really trying to get going here at that position.
Is Mr. Kroom, future Bills owner, in trouble?
Kroom, party starter. But with that said, at least we're not, with all the O-line depth that Tybee was alluding to, at least we're not Al's nightmare. One knee tweak away from Vlad Dukas.
Oh, jeez.
I have a hard time believing Vlad Dukas will be on this roster. Although I will say they do like him in the room. But
Great locker room
Great
guy.
locker room
He
guy.
really, he's like a...
But
Yeah.
okay,
My new thing with someone,
cookies.
isn't that great. It's just gonna be we love him in the room.
Yeah, but
Like,
cookies for everyone. He's a really
wouldn't
nice
go on a
guy.
weekend trip with him, but we love him in the room.
let me say
Wow.
this:
Sled Dukas.
Sled Dukas.
Yikes. Let me say this: I get the humor in it, but I will say, 1 year in a locker room, NFL locker room. Football, more than any other sport, I really do think that matters. Like,
True.
I do think it matters, like the kind of guys you have in your room. You can see the poison. You know, I hate to be so dramatic about it, but the poison that Antonio Brown can bring into a locker room. It divided that whole room. Now, Ben Roethlisberger had an equal role in that. Don't get me started on that. I think Ben was very much culpable in that. But going back to the McCoy thing and the tight ends and everything, like who's going to be on the roster, I think be careful about all of these additions and being an immediate upgrade. I think Mitch Morse is going to help Josh Allen. I think Ty Nsekhe, if he's the starter at left tackle, will be an upgrade over Deion Dawkins potentially. And I think Cody Ford is going to has real potential at the right side. All pass blockers, all known for their pass blocking ability. Go check out. I know Pro Football Focus is very, it's very trendy, and some people don't like to look at the numbers, but they're not really graded super high in the run blocking area. So, yes, they brought in a lot of new names, but are they going to be able to, forge a change in the running game? That's yet to be determined.
So let me swerve you on that one then, because the whole focus has been that McBean wants to focus on the running game more than any team should in 2019, as far as I'm concerned. Do you think that's kind of a swerve, and we're going to be seeing some kind of shuffle there where we're going to be seeing that air raid offense, Allen throwing more than last year?
I definitely think that it's a point that they want to make sure that they're trying to run the football successfully, but I think that you look at what they've done to this offense and the players that they've brought in, it all goes back to Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
They're putting pieces around him. They bring in one of the elite pass blocking centers in the league and put in front of him. A great locker room guy, but a great pass blocker. Ty Nsekhe, a guy that literally, his tape against the Houston Texans that went viral, he shut down Jadeveon Clowney, who everybody wants to trade for, from the Houston Texans. I do want to get back to that tight end point too, Tybee, because I think you bring up a very interesting point.
Future owner Jason Kroom?
Besides, not that point.
That's
Not
the
that
big
point.
thing.
I want to get to, which by the way, big Jason Kroom fan. He wore a Bill's starter jacket in the room.
You gotta give
that's
He
He
loves the team. Let's not get this wrong. Andy's was a great player. I mean, geez,
Yeah.
just to be clear, I've never seen a tight end so open last year on touchdown plays. I mean,
Right.
geez. With that said, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, why do the Pujols not have a reality show? I gotta go on this 20-second tangent real quick. Terry with no smartphone, Kim managing everything.
Where's the dog?
Buffalo on
Yeah, where's the dog?
I mean, the dog be running around that property.
Jessie playing tennis. She's in the top 100 of tennis players now.
Yeah.
She's a baller.
Kelly and Jason.
And Kelly and Jason. I mean, geez, you're telling me
So many
Todd
storylines.
Chrisley can have
Yes.
3 separate shows, but the Bagulas can't have
that's
one?
unbelievable. We need that on Bravo immediately.
Can you imagine Jason? Kelly, I just want to go to Valley Island tonight and see what happens there. It'd be nuts.
Wow,
Yeah,
at
you have
Valley?
practice tomorrow.
That'd be crazy.
You have
You ever
OTAs.
when was the last time you went out in Buffalo, man?
The last time I went out in Buffalo, maybe Eddie Brady's 10
Oh
years
my
ago.
gosh, Eddie Brady's?
Eddie Brady's.
Eddie Brady's, dude! Eddie Brady's, you just carbon dated yourself.
The DJ throwing it out.
Yourself, for sure.
You know about Billy O's Golden Swan?
Brady's. Where'd you get it?
So I have a non-traditional story.
Okay.
I went to UB, but I went as an elder statesman. I didn't start at UB until I was 27 years old.
Okay.
So you're old. So I was almost in college at 27.
Yeah, I dropped out of high school. Didn't know what I wanted to do. Was just going to Blockbuster and eating Domino's pizzas. It was just going out of style. So
I didn't drop out, but that was what I was doing.
Exactly.
So it wasn't really that different.
that's
You were
good.
basically doing high school.
Exactly. But then I finally figured it out later in life. Went back to school, UB, and figured it all out. But no, I didn't do a lot of partying because I'd already met my wife, and we got a couple dogs, and we had kids.
How long you been married for?
Oh, shit. I think she's watching.
Almost 10 years.
This is going to be our
How long together for?
12.
12 years.
Yeah.
He's gonna be like married almost 10, together for 8.
And you just
Like what?
And you just turned 39. So
37. I'll be 37 this year.
Okay. So 36, right? Okay.
36 right now.
All right.
Well, geez, Parrino, I wouldn't have known that. I wouldn't have brought that up. I thought you were like kicking like 26 or something.
That's
Jeez,
almost
Me
doing
too,
Flex.
honestly. Isn't it nuts?
That's great. Well, you're
It's
great
exactly
looking man. That's all I need to know.
This guy's 9 years old. And
With that said, speaking of numbers, I mean, we gotta get you locked down on a couple numbers here.
Yeah.
First, where is your level of like belief in quote unquote trust the process?
This is the trust-o-meter.
Yeah,
I
the
think we're
trust
gonna have
meter.
to start branding it. Yeah.
Let's say like below a 10 is like you probably want them fired and you're like imminently waiting for them to be fired. Like 90 is like, you know, probably like the Steelers level and like Tomlin, like Patriots Belichick is like 90 or like 100 probably. You know, like they probably believe him to do anything. 50 is like, you know,
You're like the Bears. You're just going back
Yeah.
and forth.
you're like the Bears, you're optimistic.
Yeah.
You got your Sean McVay at like 70,
The Bears-
75, 80.
the Bears over was like minus 150.
Oh, jeez.
People love the Bears this year.
So, if we're allowed to use like,
And they don't have to win. This could just be, do you believe, based on everything you're seeing, that they're doing absolutely what's right for the roster? Because to
For
be
the
honest,
future, yeah.
when it was October 15th last year and we didn't have a quarterback that could come in and do anything at all, my trust was down to like 20. I was like, that is so short-sighted. I can't believe it. He actually came out and kind of addressed that it was absurd that they didn't have a QB. But now with the point they're at with the offseason they've had, and I agree, they've made a lot of good additions. Where are you at on that scale?
I think that's a good question. I think I'd put it at about 65.
Wow, that is high. That's high. Well,
That's high.
I mean, that's you
No,
believe.
no.
You believe with 2 L's.
Yeah, there's a level, there's a reason, there's a motivation behind this. Think about, put the last 20 years into a bottle, okay? And, put a cap on that bottle, right?
Mhm.
And it is just, it's fizzing, and that liquid wants to get the hell out of that bottle. And I feel like there's enough elements to pop that top
Throw
off.
some Mentos
This
in.
is a terrible
Just throw some Mentos in.
thing, but at the same time, do you get what I'm saying? I think I'm taking it into account the last 20 years, how bad things have been, the absolute just
There's
bumbling
some optimism
of
is huge.
of situation of drafts of free
Tom
agency
Donahue.
of yes. I mean, there's been some real bad stuff going on. And listen, I gotta be honest with you. I was pretty unplugged when I was in Vegas. I was UFC all day, every day. I was the whole EJ Manuel era. I was kind of like head under the
Rest
sand.
in peace, my sweet prince.
Yeah, he retired today.
Yeah.
It's a rough day.
We gotta
for
talk
him.
about that for at least a minute later.
But I would say, listen, you go out and you get yourself a quarterback who projects, at least as a poor man's Cam Newton. If you go back in time to when Cam Newton was drafted, for those 3 or 4 or 5 years after he was drafted, everybody's like, could you imagine if he would have found the Bills? Like, they could have that in Josh Allen, and who knows? If he figures it all out, if the coaching's there, he could be better. We'll see.
Josh Allen would have dove on that.
That's a Super Bowl MVP. So
Josh Allen would have dove.
Allen would have dove on the Super Bowl fumble for sure.
You're damn right. You probably would have just bouldered over a guy.
Yeah.
But I like everything they're doing. I like that they've made him the focus of the offseason. This is an important offseason. I was talking on the Jerry Sullivan show the other day. Cheap pop for Jerry.
Oh,
So,
Jesus.
doing his thing.
Edit that. Censor it.
Doing his
Censor
thing.
it. Edit it.
Listen, he's
No free pop. No
He's
free
doing
pop.
his thing on the radio. I'm an old
Shout
school
outs
guy.
at 1150.
Hey, 12. I'm a fan of 1270 the fan, but they've got me blocked on Twitter. One of the very few
I
accounts.
appreciate that. I'm just giving you the shout out. I'm sorry. I like to stay neutral. You know what I mean? I like to stay
All right,
neutral.
Switzerland.
Exactly. I'm very Swiss in my behavior. But so what were we talking about?
That would have been a perfect
We're
transition.
talking about everything. We're talking about your trust in the meter. And bring up our guest here too. We got the live mic with Sleep, I believe. You toss it to him. He can come around. He can saddle up there.
Can you get behind the bar?
Oh yeah. Well, he's got to saddle up because the mic
Oh,
will
no,
come
just
there.
swing it over.
Oh yeah, swing it over. All right, let's go. Bring him on. Let's get him on for the trust meter as well. We get a little intro.
Get back there.
When you get live in Studio D, you're getting
never
on
know what's
camera.
gonna
You're not messing around. It's not like a
This
pool
isn't-
party and you're just gonna sit on the side sunbathing. You're getting in and you're playing
Everyone's
Marco
involved.
Polo.
Okay.
So what's going on?
Not much.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Introduce yourself.
My name's Joe.
Joe,
Yeah.
you're a fan of Trainwreck at all?
I am. I'm Matt's personal chauffeur too. So.
Oh my God, that's huge. Very privileged position. 100K at least plus benefits, right?
At least.
Okay.
And we call him Joe Conzi. The cons. Hey, like that was
Okay.
He was a man back in the day.
So the guy can start a jukebox is what you're saying.
Oh yeah.
So with that said, fire us up with a prediction of your trust-o-meter on the Bills right now.
I try to stay positive. I'm at about 50%.
Okay.
I'm about halfway there.
Where was your peak with this administration? Like when they made the playoffs their first year, where were you January 1? Were you like at 75, 80?
I was arguing with an Uber driver because it was $70 to get me to downtown Buffalo. Because it was insane. I mean, I think from Fairleigh Allen all the way down to...
That was a failure.
Fairleigh Allen all the way down
Oh, yeah.
to, I want to say Mulligan's Brick Bar. You couldn't even move. Plus, I think there was a snowstorm too or something, but it was...
Yeah, it was definitely not a great night out. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was definitely... It was at like 100%.
100%? Okay, so...
Yeah, if you weren't at 100%...
Well,
you gotta be like
like my first memory of being a Bills fan is literally the game against the Titans. It was the throwback game. That's literally my first memory as a kid against it. Like that moment, 1,000%, I was at 100. Right now, I'm very close to Matt. I'm at 62.5%. I'm at 5/8. 5/8.
Classic 5/8.
I'm almost fully there. I was at 50%, at the start of the Sabre season when we talked about this. When we talked about Sabres and Bills, where are you at?
Well, where were you at the Sabres at that time? That's a real
Oh my god!
question.
Well, everyone in the Sabres was at like an 88.
Oh, man.
I'm higher now on the Bills than the Sabres, 62.5%. They're making the moves. They're adding the right sort of depth. It's not just, hey, we're bringing the bodies. It's guys who have experience, guys who are going to challenge, and guys who have been around in the league, who have been in rooms, who have learned from, all sorts of different coaches at different points. So they have a ton to bring to the table, and I think they're all going to be pushing out there. And I think this is going to be a positive year for the Bills, and this is a huge year for this administration.
Speaking of a huge year, you know who's having a huge year?
Who?
Ryan Talbot. The tag team partner.
You talking about the Talbot?
The Talbot is watching the feed. He said, "Great show, guys. You're killing it." So that's.
Oh, geez.
Oh my God.
Let me tell you, that's like when Oprah puts her book stamp on a book. Like Ryan Talbot saying you're doing a great show. You know you're doing something right. Let's go. Yeah.
When are we getting Talbot on there?
He lives in Olean, so you
Yeah,
might
that's
have
the
to
thing.
really
He's a
convince
little
him.
No.
But he needs to be in this
I gotta
chair.
figure it out. So my cabin, it's down in Scio.
Tiny's cabin. Oh yeah.
Sounds like
Wow.
an
We're
outside.
looking for a live show right up by the pond.
Or live show with Talbot, Alakaville style?
M. Night Shyamalan presents Tiny's cabin.
What
Trainwreck.
about like a night on the slopes? He's right out there. Get
We're gonna be
snowboards
outside.
out.
We're gonna get outside. Yeah,
I'm
we're
a
gonna,
snowboarder.
we're gonna get going. My trust-o-meter, I'm gonna say right now 55. I'm going at 55. I'm very optimistic and I am trending in the upward direction, but I gotta see some positive results from Allen. I currently think low hot take that Darnold being on the Jets and Rosen being on the Dolphins is like a nightmare scenario for the Bills as of a year and a half ago, and we're just kind of forgot that happened. So I'm a little worried.
I think Rosen is going to struggle with the mental aspect of everything that's happened to him. So if you're telling me at this stage, you're right. I get what you're saying because a lot of Bills fans wanted Rosen, but after everything that went, listen, you've ever been dumped by like a girl that you love? I mean, listen,
All of them.
I mean, all of them.
Everyone.
You know what's going on? Like that's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
And he is out there
The
in
one that got
Miami,
away.
and he's in a worse situation if that's at all possible.
True.
So I think there's a lot to overcome there. Darnold, listen, he looked great at times last year, and I'm not downplaying it by any stretch. Go throw on the tape of that 4 interception game.
Seriously, and tell me that Adam Gase even inspires one shred of fear in you whatsoever.
He looks at
I'm
you-
more worried that the guy's gonna call in an alien attack to the stadium than actually run a good offense.
Yeah, if he looks at you, maybe he's looking at Joe, maybe he's looking at Ty B. Whoever he's looking at. I like Adam Gase. I think he will be good for Sam Darnold. But temper your expectations on all these guys. Even Baker Mayfield. Like, I understand there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of good things.
Baker Mayfield is already like 13-3 this year.
Yeah, like this is wild.
4,500 yards,
Browns are going to the
40
AFC Championship.
TDs. They're gonna have a bye. It's gonna Cleveland rocks. Call Drew Carey.
And it very well could be. And listen, there's a scenario where the Bills could win 5 games this year if Josh Allen
There
can
is.
figure it out.
You're wrong. Al's over's gonna hit.
The over.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
I think they're
Yeah,
I think they're
We
winning
don't want
the
to talk about those
East.
scenarios.
The only
Those
way
scenarios
the
aren't
Bills
fair.
win 5 games is if they also win the AFC East with those 5 games. Everyone else is 4.
Yeah, there's no other thing in Trainwreck other than over 7.
It's a DJ Khaled mindset. All we do is win.
No matter what.
If
With
those,
that said, so
if
now
those
we-
both hit,
We're all
Parrino and Joe flights to Vegas.
Okay, we're
We're
getting
going
them.
to
We're
Vegas.
getting them to
We're
Vegas
all
if they
going.
hit.
That's
All right,
right.
let's go. Now let's
Yeah.
lock them in
No,
for one
for
more.
one.
We got the
It's
cons.
not-
We got
it's not your
Parrino.
tennis, man.
You said there's a scenario where they win 5 games. Give us your prediction as of now. The draft is complete. You were at rookie camp on Friday. What is your prediction with the schedule out, the draft complete for the Bills in 2019 record?
So before the draft, I put out a game-by-game projection, and I had them at 10 wins before the draft.
Okay.
I am comfortable predicting 10 wins after the draft. Still, I'm not going to add anything to that. Here's what's happening. Offensively, I think TJ Yeldon could end up being the most under-the-radar triple.
Quick
of the
outlet for
offseason.
Allen.
Oh
Quick
my
outlet
gosh.
for Allen when he's like scrambling. Oh,
Yeah.
I gotta dump it real quick.
Yeah, him and Zay Jones lead the team in receptions last year if he's on the roster. You put all these pieces around him. You have some young receivers, Robert Foster. We might just been scratching the surface last year. We'll see what he can do in a full year as potentially the number 2 guy. This defense, I think, could be much better. I love Kyle Williams. I love what he brought in his 50-ish% of snaps. You're going to see Ed Oliver for 70% of the snaps. You're going to see him causing disruption in the backfield. And guess who's going to benefit the most from Ed Oliver? Jerry Hughes. My prediction, my stone cold lock. Jerry Hughes contract year, 10+ sacks.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
going to get back 10+ sacks.
Ooh.
That's happening this year. I think
Wonder
that
what
Jerry
the
Hughes
opposite
is going to have a big year, and I think that in part is going to be because of Ed Oliver. Then you're talking about quarterbacks being under more pressure, more interceptions, more fumbles. I think this defense could be one of the elite defenses in this league. I love the sneaky additions of E.J. Gaines, Kevin Johnson, to push Levi Wallace, who had a nice year, but still limited tape. I like all of this.
EJ Gaines low-key was the one that got away last year. We're like, oh, the Browns got him for 1 year, $3 million. When we had him in the game, teams were averaging 16 points against us, and when we lost them, they were averaging 27. That was like the big stat.
He didn't play too much for Cleveland.
He was hurt.
Injury riddled the year.
That's
Was
his
it
thing. He gets a
shoulder?
little hurt, right?
Shoulder,
Yeah, questionable groin week 3.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, they're having to go through that for the entire season. Bills have a ton of depth now all over, and yeah, like you said, hopefully that gets us there. I'm saying 9-7. If I gotta say it right now,
What about Shaq Lawson? Contract year?
Well, that's the big thing.
They
I
wanna
want to
take up
tell you,
the
the
other
only
fifth
other
year.
time we've seen them not take up a 5th year, Watkins, right?
and he was
And
traded.
then they traded him. They displayed him huge in the preseason. They had him like for 100 yards in a preseason game or something, and then traded him like 2 days later.
He's another guy that's now in a position with the addition of Oliver, and again, playing as on the other side of Jerry Hughes. He's going to get no
Perfect
double teams.
scenario.
Like,
Perfect scenario.
if you can't finish with more than 5 sacks this year, if you're Shaq Lawson, problem for Shaq Lawson is no matter what happens, it seems like he really struggles staying on the field consistently. He was dealing with that hamstring for a big chunk of last season. So if he can be healthy and they can manage his health properly, get him engaged, which he was last year, and I think he's motivated. You've seen his Instagram post,
He's ready
cap
to go.
season. And I'm like I said, a little older. I don't really understand what that means. Can you fill me in? What's this mean? No cap season. No cap.
There's no cap. He's like
No
he's
cap.
going over the limit. Like
Over
it's
the
like
limit.
on 100. Like
There's
you know
no
when
cap.
Brendan Fraser and Bedazzle's like, you gotta give 110%. You gotta give 110%. Like that's the same thing as like no cap.
There's no cap. Yeah, there is no 100%. It's
Yeah.
automatically over. It's like saying infinity plus 1. Like no matter what infinity is, I'm 1 higher than it.
I'm pretty encouraged by what you said because when I've seen Shaq Lawson on the field, I've liked what I've seen.
Yeah.
So I've always been like, why aren't I seeing more of this guy? Like, why isn't he out there doing this all the time? It's his injury and hiccup. So hopefully he has a year with a little bit less pressure. Thanks to Eddie O.
When we were talking about the lead up to the draft, I thought Brian Burns was a low-key, sneaky target for the Bills because he ended up going to the Panthers middle of the first round. Just a freak athlete, pass rusher that I think would combo well with Shaq Lawson because he's just a strictly 50% of the time, pin your ears back, go after it. They put a lot of faith in Trent Murphy. They paid him a lot of money. The results weren't necessarily there last year, but if he can stay healthy, Shaq, Trent, I'd like to see what they do on that side.
And it's kind of like an addition that you didn't have last year.
Right.
Not to sound like negative about last year, but Murphy was basically sidelined the whole season.
Right.
So this is business time.
Wait, so what'd you lock in? What'd you lock in for your prediction?
10-6.
Okay, 10 Oh, yeah, but you're more like comfortable. You're saying a little bit with the additions.
This is,
I'm very comfortable.
I mean, this is free money then.
I mean, that should cash. Here's the thing. If I don't give betting advice, so that's where it is. But I will say, we're talking about there's a window there. There's a window of 6 to 9 wins that, depending on where it falls, there's going to be some serious heat on this administration.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, Brandon Beane is... Listen,
you're seeing Vegas predicting 6.5, and you're seeing like the local media be like that they're expecting 9+ this year for sure.
Right.
Like, so there's a huge discrepancy.
And so where does this thing fall? There's so much belief in this administration from the ownership. I think the fact that how bad things are going for the Sabres makes Beane and McDermott even more safe. But if you're talking about 6 wins, even 7 wins after winning 6 last year and all the additions, you really start to, and an easier schedule, I think you really start to question, like, is the process working? And what does 7 wins look like with a schedule like this? And what is Allen doing? I was looking at a stat line. Somebody brought it up. I think it was Sullivan. And one of the stats was he was putting it up against Cam Newton and the progression that he made from year 1. Oh no, it was Mitch Trubisky.
Oh,
the
jump
that he made as a rookie to his second year.
That's a huge jump.
It's a huge jump. If Josh Allen does that and they win 6-7 games, is that enough? It's hard to say. And how is that going to be received by fans who are expecting, a serious playoff push this year? I mean, you're throwing it way back, Allen. You're one of the originals. How are you going to feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I hope that spider is still surviving in Matt Barkley's basement.
Oh my god,
that
was
was
a mutant.
I'm not about that. Spider life.
Oh, jeez.
No, but yeah, you're right. If this team goes out this year after what? Josh won 5 games last year or 6? He was 5 wins?
5 and
He won
6.
5 games.
Baker won 6.
If Josh Allen comes back with all these additions to the offensive line, a couple of receivers, a stacked defense, and this team wins 6-7 games with a very third easiest schedule in the NFL, along with you're not playing competition when it comes to a quarterback perspective. You're not playing that good of quarterbacks an entire season long. I think 6 wins would be a major disappointment.
Yeah.
I mean, this has to be a 500 football team at the worst. And I'm not just saying this because I think the over's a lock. I mean, this team has to figure it out and be able to win 8 games at least.
If they get moderate production from Josh Allen and they're below 8-8, then yeah, they're on the hot seat, no doubt about it. Because that was the whole goal. They had, a good defense in 2017. They kind of semi-put that on hold last year because there was that whole thing in the first half of the year, if you remember, where they had a top 8 defense and then they had historically the worst offense that ever existed. And people were like, are they squandering this defense in 2018? They kind of squandered away. So it's a huge payoff in 2019. See what they get.
It's another great point with that defense, but son of a bitch, I was going to go.
We're going to talk about Star Lolo Tule.
Hold on.
No.
I'll go. As soon as I think of it, I'll come back.
Here's one little piece I'll also throw out there as well. I think that Zay Jones could be in line for... I'm not making this prediction. This is
not the DK Metcalf workout.
Check this out. I think Zay Jones could sneaky make a push for a 1,000-yard season. Because when has he done his best work in his 2 seasons, mostly the second season, when nobody's really paying attention? You got John Brown, you got Cole Beasley, you got Robert Foster, you got all these new pieces. All of a sudden, Zay Jones isn't really, focused in on. He might not even be the number 2 receiver. When you line him out there, you can see John and Robert on the outsides. Zay could do some work this year.
And I figured out what I was thinking about.
There we go.
You got to go into December with 7 or 8 wins.
Yes.
When you got Baltimore coming to town, you got to go to Pittsburgh and you got to go to New England. This team better already hit that fucking over before December.
Whoa, language, sir.
Yeah.
I mean, serious though.
I know. Well, yeah, for your bet, they better. You bet. So what Al's saying is, you better have my bet locked up by December 1, or else I'm driving a one-Bills drive, and I'm going to be very upset and voice my displeasure.
Right,
I might be there with a baseball bat.
For the team in general, though.
You're absolutely right. You're right.
You're going into Ravens, Steelers, Patriots. You have to have 7 wins if you want to make the playoffs that year.
It's a gauntlet. The Bills season's going to be amazing. We got to jump real quick. Speaking of Niners here, the Sabres. Talk about, Tybee, what is happening?
No one wants to coach there.
Hashtag Coach Rush. Yeah.
Oh, he's out.
I'm about to be out. But
don't worry. I'll put the team on the back for a little bit. So obviously, there's no head coach for the Buffalo Sabres, and that's a huge thing.
Nate Skinner.
I don't know where I lie on this right now. Whether I'm somewhat frustrated they don't have a coach, or I'm happy that they're doing their due diligence. They're talking to enough guys, trying to find the perfect fit. And right now we're hearing what it sounds like from Elliot Friedman is that Ralph Kruger is the #1 guy for the job. At least in the Sabres' eyes right now, he's probably the top candidate. And honestly, I have no problems with Ralph Kruger. He's a guy, he last coached in the NHL for the Edmonton Oilers in the shortened season. And then he was fired while he was there. And, I mean, they took a jump forward. They played better. And it just kind of happened because of a regime change. And the new GM had a little different opinion. He's been as a chairman at Southampton since 2014, since he was there. And he's taken that team, kept them in the Premier League, sort of fought against adversity. And he's actually like a writer of like leadership books and all this sort of stuff. So he's all about facilitating that culture, getting everything together.
So this is the guy at the Sabres got him. He'd have me ready to go through a wall, you're saying?
Yeah, like he's going to get those guys going. He's going to be able to facilitate them. Hey, we're the underdogs. No one expects us to make the playoffs. We haven't been there in 7, 8 years. Let's be the ones to change it. Let's be those guys to take that step and to be able to put them in the right positions. He's good at managing personalities and managing that underdog persona, which the Sabres are going to have to sort of take on. Like, you're Jack Eichel. You've been in the league for this long, haven't made the playoffs once, and you're supposed to be a franchise player. You take that chip on your shoulder, and Ralph Kruger is the type of guy who will put it on there for you in the perfect way so that you can succeed. And I think he might be the right guy for this job. Even though it's taken this long, he might have been the right name from the start.
So what you're saying is just like every 16-year-old girl's Instagram, everything happens for a reason. And we're going to end up with, the right guy we wanted.
And like their Instagrams, it's just highlights, of their lives. And this should be a highlight for the Sabres. He was a candidate in 2017, but at that point, Southampton was having some transitions, especially financially.
Because that's the shade you're seeing. Oh, they're going to bring in a soccer club guy, but you're saying that that's actually a benefit.
Yeah, he was in charge of literally everything, like ahead of what Jason Botterill is for the Sabres right now. So he understands, from top down, what needs to be done to produce an organization that can, sustain itself. He knows the business as well as the game, and he even coached Team Europe in the last World Cup of hockey. He's been around. He's coached the Swiss national team, who many times, especially at Olympics and such, have been against the odds. They've had to play Canada and USA, and they've fought valiantly. Like, they have guys like Johnny Oduya, is probably like the biggest Swiss name you could think of in hockey, and they've competed somewhat, and he's been able to get them to that level. So I think that's what he can do with the Sabres, and hopefully that's what he does. But there is one winning team in Buffalo right now, and you love to see some playoffs in Buffalo. Buffalo Bandits, thank God.
Gotta love it. Parrino, when was the last time you paid a visit to Banditland?
Oh, man.
Am I really going to be carbon dating you on that one?
I've never been to a band.
Oh my gosh, well, let me tell you, it's crazy.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Let me explain it. So, I don't really like hockey.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And I grew up here as a real diehard Bills fan. And it's weird because like when the Sabres were surging and the Bills were in the middle of the mediocrity 2 decades, I was kind of like, as a fan, I didn't really like the fact that people were putting the Sabres, holding them in higher regard than the Bills for a short amount of time.
Are you saying, what are you talking? Oh, 0506. Oh, yeah, definitely. People were like, I'm all out on the Bills.
So it almost made me even more like, oh, what's going on here? Like, I don't like the pendulum swing here to Sabres land. So I even got more like passionate about disliking them. Now, fast forward to now, my professional life is a little bit different. I went to a Sabres game this year, and I love. It was the 9-2 Ottawa game.
Okay, I was there.
My kids.
I was there. Tristan and I were at the bar taking shots of tequila. It was
going down that game. Yeah, my
That was
kids'
the game.
first hockey game. I loved it.
amazing.
Like I'm all in on the Sabres. I think the Bandits could be next. Maybe I'll go to a Bandits game. I always thought
It's always fun. It is fun.
I always thought hardos played lacrosse in high school. Like the guys that just like they couldn't make the football team or whatever.
Couldn't make the baseball team.
Couldn't make the baseball team. So like. They kind of like went to lacrosse and started talking about their lacrosse accomplishments.
Lax bros in school were definitely a persona. Like, you're not just making that up. It's not a fabrication of Parrino. Like, that's an actual like stereotype.
That happens a lot.
They're like, oh, the Lax bros are coming over, right? With that said, I was exactly in the same boat as you and Al were. As of a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I had never been to a Bandits game. And I go to Banditland, and this place with about 2/3 to 3/4 of the fans of the Sabres,
loud,
way louder, first off. And there's just this amazing vibe. I hate to say it like someone who's never been there, but the goalie makes a save and the play's going the other way, and the guy literally comes on the intercom and he's like, "What's he got?" And the whole crowd goes, "Nothing!" Like, you're like trash talking like the players on it. It's an amazing atmosphere, and that's why Bandit Land really is the place to be. And that home field advantage gave them a huge win this past Saturday over Toronto. They're heading to the finals.
Oh, you got to send a message to Toronto anytime you can, especially if you're Buffalo. Yeah, just to absolutely take that game over early on and just to win that one easily. You can't be mad. It looks like they're going to have Calgary for the championship. That's going to be a big matchup.
Best 2 out of 3?
The Bandits have been the best team all season. They've set a whole bunch of records.
Have they ever won the
in
title?
the NLL? They have won the title a couple times.
13 years ago, right? Or like 12 years ago was the last one?
What's that guy's name? John
Tavares. He's the co-head coach right now.
Yes.
He might be.
Can I break script for a second?
His number
Can you what?
Can I break script for a second?
Yeah.
Let's talk about, like, I'm with a bunch of Buffalo, like, sports fans, fanatics. What's the deal with Buffalo Bills fans being Boston Red Sox fans?
Oh, jeez.
You know what's funny is we've posted stuff and people have been like, why are you doing that? Nobody likes the Red Sox. Or like people have like accused us like if you're a Buffalo fan, you're not allowed to be a Red Sox fan. So we've seen like every side of it.
Oh, bro, I'm with you on that. I'm with you.
Okay, so here's my
That's
thing.
because you're a Yankees fan now.
You're a fucking Blue Jays fan.
You're not wrong, and that's the closest. That's the closest team.
So here's the thing. I do
And a
understand.
Canadian team.
I do understand.
Not wrong.
I love it.
Wow, I didn't know I was starting some shit. Okay.
Well, with us, it literally takes nothing to start.
Like, yeah,
we will just start going.
Yankees fans root for Canadian baseball team. Sounds good.
Yeah, just wait for Vlad Guerrero.
Orioles and Yankees currently in a delay.
Calvin Biggio on his way up. Oh, don't get me started.
So that's just something that's
There's a great
always,
future for the
Blue
Blue
Jays.
Jays.
from the time I was a kid, always just really, and I understand, like, okay, if you grew up and your grandpa and your dad were a Red Sox fan, and your mom and your grandma were a Red Sox fan, I get it. But I think you have to, as an adult, make a decision about, like, if I'm rooting for the Bills and their main rival, especially these last 15 years, are Tom Brady and the Patriots, those same people that are rooting on the bane of your existence, you are sitting in Fenway with, cheering on your Red Sox. Like, it doesn't equate for me.
They're your mortal,
I'm with you on that. I really am.
mortal enemies right there. It's absolutely tough, but that's something you're obviously passionate about. Let's get to something else you're passionate about. The UFC.
Whew,
A huge
big
event
week.
this weekend.
Big week.
UFC Fight Night 152 in Rochester. Rafael Dos Anjos versus Kevin, the Motown Phenom Lee.
Ooh, you got it right. I
What
love it.
a fight coming up.
Listen, I'm excited for this, and I'm so excited I'm going to be in Fight Week. A friend of mine is having a wedding, and I won't be at the fight itself. So it's kind of like I'm in mourning. So I'll be in Rochester for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
But that makes Fight Week all the more important.
Exactly.
Like, that's the event to you. Let's
Exactly.
like I want to see these like conferences, everything.
Exactly. But, a couple storylines. These are two guys that are 155 pounds throughout their career. They're finally moving up to 170. One of the big talking points in MMA combat sports is the weight cuts. A lot of guys that have moved up a weight class are starting to get a lot of success.
Succeeding.
These two guys are a perfect example. Javier Dos Anjos was the champ at 155. They're going to fight at 170. No weight cut, really. They're going to be healthy. It's going to be great. But the story, if you're from Central,
Yep.
Western,
Yep.
Upstate New York, UB's own,
Yep.
the greatest wrestler
Yep.
in UB history,
He's not-
Desmond the Predator Green,
No way.
is fighting
Yep.
on this card a gentleman by the name of Jourdain making his UFC debut. He's from Rochester. He fought in Buffalo. I was there. UFC 210. Keybank was lit beyond belief. Daniel Cormier fought in the main event. I think Green got a bigger pop than Cormier when he came out. And he's fighting at Blue Cross Arena. He's going to be in town. He gets here tomorrow. I'm going to hook up with him this week. We're going to do some content. It's a huge week for New. I mean, 2016. This wasn't even legal 3 years ago in New York.
What a development.
No, and this is it.
Gotta love stuff getting legal in New York right now, to be honest.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
a lot of things going on.
hopefully they'll hurry up on a couple other things.
Yeah.
But you
Get to it, Cuomo.
It's a huge, huge main event. Dos Anjos versus Lee. They're both guys who, they've made a lot of noise at 155. Dos Anjos has had issues getting to that weight cut, so he succeeded a little bit better at 170. He's up there. He's a top contender, and I think Lee has the most to gain. I think it hurts Dos Anjos at his age right now. But Dos Anjos is going to be going forward. He's described by many as a buzzsaw. He's just going to continue to push the pressure. He's going to be on his front foot the entire fight. So I think that lends itself to a really good fight between the two. You have Dos Anjos, who's only really ever been beat by guys who have, wrestling backgrounds. They know what they're doing. They're able to get him on the ground. His last couple fights, Kamaru Usman, he was able to beat him by going forward, putting the same exact amount of pressure on him, and then getting him to the ground. Lee is a guy who can get him to the ground, so I think it'll be something interesting. But Dos Anjos, I think he has the power to put him away.
Wow. Ty B.
I've watched a couple people get beat up in my life.
Wow.
Ty B sounds like an analyst on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, and we'll see you on Saturday night. No, that was great.
You did the Stephen A. Smith role. That was what you did.
That
And we'll see you Saturday night.
No, that was a great breakdown. I think Kevin Lee, I think the wrestling by both guys, like you said, is going to be neutralized. I think they're going to meet in the middle. They're going to exchange blows. I think Kevin Lee, without having to deplete himself to 155, is going to be a different animal at 170. Yep. And I think Rafael Dos Anjos, even in his best time at 155, would struggle to take him down a guy like Kevin Lee. I spoke to him. He said his camp has been he said his camp has been absolutely outstanding. He feels refreshed. He wants to put on a show. He's the main event. He even put on for... The one thing I will say about him, he said he wants ranch with his wins.
Oh, that's obviously tough. And so hopefully it's a repeat
Boyer
of
said
his
the
last
same
fight.
thing.
Hopefully it'll be a repeat of his last fight.
And
he wants ranch.
Cleary.
He gets beat up by Al Ankita. Had no problems with him his last fight. Maybe Dos Anjos won't either now, hearing that he wants ranch, because that is absurd in Western New York.
My new stance is if you get it done on the field of play, I don't care about your ranch blue cheese preferences. But speaking of getting it done on the field of play, you have a certain sit down tomorrow with a certain someone that I see about?
Ooh,
Yeah, I don't want to drop that. I mean, or are you meeting someone big tomorrow?
No, I already interviewed Dana White.
Oh my god, so it's dropping tomorrow.
So it's dropping
Oh,
tomorrow.
okay. Blew it.
Questions.
I will say it was nice to catch up with the boss. Dana's my dude.
Did you ask him about Lesnar?
No, Lesnar
Oh,
wasn't-
what? Oh my
He's done.
gosh.
Here's why. Lesnar's fake news.
Lesnar is not fake news.
It's always just used to generate some buzz, whether he's going to win or not. It's just used to generate buzz to keep
dude, if you go back and watch his last fight,
always.
it was deplorable.
Yeah.
I'm talking about
but what were the sales for
No,
that fight?
no,
Probably
no,
through the
no,
roof, right?
no.
Dana White would give anything to hear that Brock music going through and see that sword tattooed mofo coming through the door.
For sure, but he's not going to be fighting Mark Hunt. He's going to be fighting the best in the world. And
Oh yeah, because DC wants him.
Yeah, or if he doesn't get DC, it's even worse. You have to fight John Jones. So,
but that's amazing. Dana White, I mean, I have to say, that's kind of a personal, hero of mine, because anyone who goes head-to-head with Vince McMahon, I admire.
Yeah.
So, he's going as head-to-head with him as anybody.
And what's amazing is the evolution of the relationship. They've actually gone head-to-head, and now they're kind of it's good, hey, let's make money off of each other. And when Ronda was going over, he helped with that, and I think when Brock comes over, Vince helped with that. They're not competitors.
No. It's like an Avengers storyline. It was
different.
personal combat, Civil War when they were going head to head, and now it's like Avengers Endgame when they both need to get everything out of Brock. They want to get Ronda, Pop. It's all great.
Yeah, it's all great. Where'd you go?
They're masters of entertainment, which at the end of the day is the same thing. I mean, when you're at Trainwreck Sports, you're not coming for 1,000,000% accuracy. You're not coming for by the books broadcast. You're coming for the sports. You're coming for the entertainment. And thank you, Matt, for joining us tonight, because that's exactly what you bring.
And it's true, the train never stops. Because even when
It
the
doesn't.
degenerate gets over there, the train still moves on.
100%.
That's great.
Never goes.
It's not.
I was doing the jukebox.
Good to go.
Beautiful.
Where are we at? I lost my spot. Is it Jen discuss time?
It's Jet.
I got a couple of general topics, Al. Don't worry.
Oh, go ahead.
Al's just a lieutenant because here comes Tybee with
Tons
the
of stuff in
general
the
topics.
NBA. Tons of stuff. You got KD going down with the injury. The Rockets still taking that over. We talked about that quickly when Al. We were talking about your bets on that. I'm sorry. I mean, I told you not to take it. I said the Warriors plus those points. You're gonna give them 7.5 and take those points. Whatever.
And I think that was the right play.
We'll move on to the right side.
I had the money
With
line.
hindsight,
With
hindsight, it was the right play.
You see the Rockets win that game by 2-6 all the time, and they're high-fiving each other, and you're I was an idiot for taking the spread.
And
So you see, I understand where you're at.
We gotta talk about. We're not gonna talk about Game of Thrones, but there was something else big that happened last night. Kawhi shot the 4 bouncer off the front rim. That thing
This shot was unbelievable.
That's just a moment as like a sports fan, you're like, I wish I was a Toronto sports fan at this point. Like the one time they finally get the right balance, like they've had so long, the Leafs have just been terrible, can't do nothing in the playoffs. Oh yeah, the Leafs, I hate them, can't stand them. They can't win in the playoffs. I don't know what it is. Austin Matthews just can't perform. Were you talking about the Raptors?
Well, Ty B might be able to go UFC for ESPN Plus, but I'm going for college football. Lee Corso, not so fast. I was watching this game during Game of Thrones. We had it on the screen because we were like, what's going to happen in this game? It was on our computers, on the computer in front of the TV, and that quadruple bounce. Like, it felt like it took, like, and it was right at the beginning of the battle. So you had the dramatic music, like, building up, and then Kawhi had the shot.
It's the front rim, the outside of the rim, and because of the spin of the ball, because of the arc, it goes right back over. It's like, oh, now there's a chance. Like, no way.
And next thing you know, Joel Embiid gets crushed by a dragon.
And then
that's what happened.
And then he's crying, and you got the cameras going after him down the tunnel. I felt like that was a little bit intrusive.
Well, it's funny. Sorry.
Oh, the cons.
Getting cons?
Did
the guy just say something and say, I'm sorry? Like, right when he started talking. Come on, cons, jump on in.
It's funny. I'm going through, because I follow TSN for, like, hockey updates.
Oh, yeah.
I see all these guys in Maple Leafs hats just going nuts, and I'm going, man, that must suck. Your hockey team is just terrible. Hasn't won a cup since 1946. You're called the hockey mecca.
Emphasize that.
And Kawhi Leonard is over here just saving your city with one shot in his first year in Toronto. And it's just amazing. And everybody, like, you could see the Leafs fans just crying. Actually crying. And it was quite hilarious.
I can't wait till they win the NBA Finals over the Warriors. They got, like, the Maple Leafs flags. Like, they're just going nuts.
Bucks and 5.
And we're talking NHL a little bit there.
Bucks dominate that series.
You need a
Giannis.
Tap the pedal.
Bucks and 5 or 6.
Giannis has its best run since GoldenEye.
Giannis Kawhi, I think, is like the best matchup we've seen in a while in the Eastern Conference.
Dude, Giannis.
For certain.
Giannis.
It's gonna be a long series.
Is going to struggle with Kawhi for 7 years.
1,000%.
Or however long this goes.
1,000%.
Kawhi is a really good defender.
He's physical.
Kawhi's an amazing
Kawhi
defender.
is the best
physical.
defender in the league.
They don't have. They're not as good as they played against the Celtics. Celtics were a mess.
No.
They imploded on themselves.
So many problems.
You're not going to have that in the Toronto series. I still think that Milwaukee. I would give them the edge. I think Giannis showed a lot in that last series. I predicted Milwaukee in 7, but it is going to be an epic battle.
That's gonna be a slugfest, I think.
Oh, so we're not talking about God?
Wait, no. So speaking of epic battle, is it going to be more of Battle of Winterfell or Battle of King's Landing?
Ooh.
Wow, it's gonna be more. It's gonna be more of Winterfell.
Okay.
Because it's gonna be a back and forth. That one was just an absolute shellacking.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't a good night.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought it got kind of comical. Like by the time people were getting like torched in like the hallway, like anytime someone got torched,
someone jumping down the hallway,
yeah.
Someone else. One was Aaron Rodgers. One was
and that by the point I was seeing everybody get torched, I literally thought it was comical for sure. No doubt.
It was just running up the score at that point. There's just so many storylines to take from it. It's just the fact that there were so many arcs that they didn't complete properly. You had Jamie, who sort of like redeemed his whole self after everything of pushing Bran out the tower and like, oh, he's gonna go back and Tyrion's freeing him. Let's like hope. Oh, sorry, spoilers. Let's hope he can talk Cersei out of it or like ring the bell, so, like do something positive. And then for him for that to end the way it did, it was just there was so much you were just left waiting for. I don't want to continue to spoil everything, but there's just so much.
Well, they haven't seen it by now. It's a TV show. You know it comes out on Sunday.
Yeah, and I think like them chopping it up into 6 episodes really hurt them. There were so many storylines they could have completed better. But seeing Daenerys turn into the Mad Queen wasn't too surprising because you had those morsels and especially everything that Olenna Tyrell said to her not too long ago, saying like, just go there and rule with fear. Like that's the only way they're gonna trust you because you're an outsider. And to see she was right and Daenerys to finally take that advice after she denied it originally and said we'll not attack King's Landing, and to actually do it fully, like it was just crazy.
What about Arya? Has she been sleeping with anybody else?
Oh
no, Arya hasn't been banging. She was banging around King's Landing trying to escape the rubble yesterday. Parrino, where'd you fall on all this?
I just think it's funny that everybody's so emotional about Daenerys turning into the Mad Queen. This was always going to happen in some sense.
We're about to fight.
No, here it is.
She was my Daenerys, and she is not any longer.
Ooh.
But that's
what was your one name?
Every character, though. As soon as you fall in love with them, they turn, and it's the exact opposite. Like we were right there for Jamie, and then like everything with Brandon. It's like, all right, yeah, like I finally trust him, and then boom, turns.
What did she say that we will burn cities?
Yes, we'll burn cities to the ground and all
For
that
the
stuff.
future,
Yeah,
for
dude,
the future generation.
She literally told all of you people she was going to burn your
You
precious
people, and we're talking to
James
you people.
Lennon.
He did, not me. You.
It's just crazy. People are getting so emotional about this. She told you. She
Can I
warned
tell you why, though? Can I tell you why?
Okay, bring it.
Because it was like GOT has made its career out of being unpredictable. Like, oh, you want to have like a baby Ned Stark? Nope, your whole family's about to get massacred.
But the predictable would have been if she just stayed.
No, the
Daenerys, I love
unpredictable
this,
would have
I love
been with
this.
Tyrion messing up every chance he has in Westeros, with Varys betraying her, with people being killed, for her to maintain her cool. That would have been the twist. But instead,
Fire hot take. In hindsight of the series, you will all look back and think the saddest moment was when Varys was burned alive. You know why?
Not even
because he was right.
The Lord of Whispers.
Not only did he not have a unit, but
He was a unit.
he died because he was trying to save the world.
And without getting his last word, the Lord of Whispers, the one who spoke the most to everybody within the kingdom,
True.
not
That was
allowed to say
heartbreaking.
ironic word.
That was
That's like the
heartbreaking.
Secretary of State, like getting executed, and they're like, yeah, you can't say anything, like you're just done.
And last
You're
thing,
gone.
Aegon Orion. I tweeted it last night.
Yeah.
If Aegon Jon Snow is not the Iron Throne
Or-
reigner, I quit.
The only way I don't.
Although you
I-
can't really quit because the show's gonna be over.
Give me my boy
There's
Gendry.
only one way. Yeah.
Give me
There's only one way.
Give me Gendry. Gendry or Ryan. Gendry or
Arya
Ryan.
as queen because she realized.
No, Arya doesn't get to
Arya
gold
saying
dig when he gets
feud
when he gets
to the
king
hound.
shit.
No,
He doesn't get-
Arya
yeah.
saying thing.
Arya's
to the
getting
hound
browned
is
last
a huge
episode.
thing.
Yikes.
But like her getting on the white horse, Old King's Road, you got all that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the memes,
Or
absolutely
Elizabeth.
flying.
I'll give the credit. The
And,
one thing
like-
that's been the best this season have been the memes.
Yes.
Like, the internet reactions have been by far the best.
But her taking the white horse in an absolute allusion to the four horsemen of death, the death taking the white horse, and you have Arya, you know, the Lord of Death now.
What's the most
So
aggressive
taking the white
DJ ever gets?
Jesus.
Like when he wants you to talk?
Unbelievable.
Like, does he ever be like, "Yo, shut the"?
I know when he's ready.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
Let's
No, you can tell.
listen to it.
Yeah, let's listen to it.
You should get one of those
It's
guns
only the
that like
top
the
one.
Steve Austin guns that have a like.
Yeah, the fake bang. The fake bang.
Ooh, very
Oh,
nice.
yeah, just shooting the
Very
cold
nice.
ones out.
That would be
T-shirt cannon.
That would be.
T-shirt cannon filled with 12 ounces.
Yeah.
So what do we got coming up this weekend though?
Yeah.
Brio, what do you got? Okay, so you guys.